In this episode of the Crafty Stitches Podcast, we are going to talk about a lot of socks. I have only knitting projects to share with you today, and one is very exciting because I'm going to reveal the knitting sock pattern that I designed for the DB Soctober Sock Along 2023. So let's get into this episode so that I can share those with you. Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Mariette, also known as Die Boervrou, and this is episode 46 of the Crafty Stitches podcast. Today is the 21st of September 2023 and I'm coming to you from South Africa. So I made myself a coffee. I hope you have something to drink so that we can get into this episode because I have so much to share with you, and I'm also revealing the sock pattern as I said in the intro, so I cannot wait to show you this pattern. I am so excited. I just want to cast on all the things, but I know I shouldn't because October 1st is just around the corner, and I also want to knit a pair of socks this year during the Soctober sock along that I'll be hosting, but more about those a little bit later. Let's start with what I am wearing. I did talk about this project in the previous episode. This is my first ranunculus that I have knitted, and I knitted out of Moya 100% cotton yarn, which is a double knit yarn. This colorway is the colorway Topaz, I think. I did do a few changes on this pattern for this one. I cast on with a different cast on. I did it on 5mm needles, and I cannot remember all of the details. I did fill it in on my Ravelry project page, which I will link down below. I was thinking of frogging this garment because of the neckline, but in the previous episode I talked about it because the neckline was very wide, and it was so wide that it made me uncomfortable because it would stretch out during the day as well, and it will go up to my shoulders, and it irritated me a lot. So I didn't wear it for quite a while, and then I bought some elastic sewing thread that I did put into this garment. I'll try and show you. I'm not sure if I will be able to, but I added 2 strands in the neckline. It might be a little bit too tight, but I've worn it twice now and it does not stretch out during the day anymore. It just stays like this. It does not really irritate me that much in my neck, even though it is high up, because the elastic is very stretchy, so it doesn't feel like it's a rope around against my throat. It's just fabric. It's not bothering me. Let's say it like that. Alright, but anyway, I'm super happy that I changed this neckline. This is the elastic thread that I used. I hope that's in focus. So it's just a plain white elastic thread from Prim, and I am super happy. This took me maybe half an hour, if that much, and I have a garment that I can wear again. Right, let's move on to find out what I have finished, and so that I can reveal my sock. The first project that I would like to share is my Shortie socks that I have finished. I have finished the pair. I did use the Regia 4-ply yarn from Schachenmeier, and that is the yarn numbers. It is a 75% virgin wool. Is it virgin wool? I think so. Yes. And 25% polyamide blend. It has 420 meters on 100 gram, and I made a pair of shorties. So in the previous episode I had one done which was this one, and I finished the second one. I am super happy with how these came out. I did mention in my previous episode that I knit these on a 64 stitch size, so that will be the third size in my pattern. I used the DB Toe Up Socks pattern that I designed for this pair of socks, and I just knit the leg super short. I did do one modification, however, because in the previous episode I mentioned that the cuff seems a little bit loose to me. So I knit the second sock and I decreased in the last round of the leg with 4 stitches, and I did the cuff in a 60 stitch count. So I then went back to sock number 1 and I did the same. I ripped the cuff back and I did a decrease round and then did the ribbing. So for this one, as I said, it was worked toe up with a gusset, heel turn and heel flap, slip stitch heel flap, and then I did 5 rows of the leg. So 4 rows was just normal stocking stitch, and the 5th row I did the decrease round, and then I did 15 rounds 15 rounds of ribbing. And then, now I'm lying, I did 14 rounds of ribbing, and I knit the 15th round of ribbing while doing Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off to bind the socks off. I did add all of these notes into my project page, which will also be linked down below. And I am thinking that maybe for my next pair, I would try to do the leg even shorter. Maybe do just a 2 round leg and 10 round cuff. I'm not exactly sure, but you will see when I do that. So if I remember correctly, this pair of socks took 53 or 54 grams of yarn. So if I shorten the cuffs or add a contrast toe or a contrast heel in, I can make 2 pairs of shorties with 1 hank of yarn or 1 skein of yarn. So yes, I think if I add in a toe, contrast toe, a heel and a cuff, I might even get a 3rd pair, stripes for a 3rd pair out of the same hank of yarn. So yes, that is quite a nice experiment, because usually my longest socks will take about 65 to 66 grams of yarn if I only use 1 color yarn. So yes, I might be able to do 2 pairs of shorties out of 1 hank of yarn if I add some contrast colors. But I'm super happy with this. It is washed, weaved in, the ends woven in, I've blocked it. It is ready to be worn. I only have not worn it in my shoes because I want to show it to you while it is still gorgeous. So that is the socks. I must take these blockers because I will be needing them again. Right. Very happy with these, and I can guarantee you tomorrow they're on my feet. Very happy with how they came out. So I knit them on 2.25 millimeter 9-inch circular needles, and I really enjoyed it. And I have to say, it is a little bit quicker to not have to knit a whole leg. Alright, let's move on to the next project. So the next one is the sock that I am knitting for my husband. And I finished the first sock, which is this one. So this sock was knit cuff down. So in the previous episode, I was at this beautiful marker. Which is a marker from Annegret from Pincushion Crafts. And then I finished the sock foot and I added a contrast toe. So as you can see, I decided on a contrast toe. So this sock is a 72 stitch count sock. I knit this one on 2.25mm needles on magic loop, and I used the same 4-ply yarn from Schachenmeyer, the Regia 4-ply, but the solid colors, and these came in 50-gram balls, which is 210 meters on 50 grams, and it's also 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide. Right, so that is the sock. I need to start the second sock, and I'm not sure when I'm going to do that. Maybe I should do it this coming week, and try and finish it before October 1st hits, because I am so ready for Soctober and I already have plans, and this sock is not part of the plan. I would love to have it finished before that. Anyway, so that is the sock, second finished project, but it's only half a finished project because I still need to knit the second one. But it's still a finished project. Alright, so the moment we have all been waiting for. I have not shown these on the podcast yet because it is a design that I wanted to keep a little bit of a secret, because I wanted to reveal it just before October 1st when Soctober starts. So if you do not know what Soctober is, I host a month-long make-along. This will be the second year that I'm doing it, for the whole month of October, called DB for Die Boervrou, DB Soctober 2023 Sock Along. So it is a make-along focused on making socks. You can knit, crochet, Tunisian crochet, whatever you like. Just make socks, cuff down, toe up, I don't care. Just make socks with me. So I usually do some Google meetups during the month of October, and last year I designed a pattern specifically for the make-along, and this year I did the same, but I have to say that it is not mandatory for you to knit one of my sock patterns to participate. I don't mind, you can knit whatever you like as long as it's socks or crochet, and come join in the fun and chat with us in our community. You are welcome. So I designed this pattern this year, again in mostly Knotty Habit yarns. So this is one of the yarn labels. They're all in my bag. So this is the yarn that I'm using, Knotty Habit Kaiso base, which is a 75% merino, 25% nylon blend. I do realize on this label it does not say Kaiso, but it is the same base. And yes, one of the colorways that I'm using is called Green Fingers. And if you know Knotty Habit, you will know that she doesn't dye with recipes. She does have a few constant colors that she brings back and dyes up, but most of them are like once-offs. So if the 6 hanks of a colorway is gone, then maybe you won't get that exact thing again. But anyway, so Green Fingers is this yarn. I am now teasing you with all the yarn before I start. Did you see that? So this is the green colorway. It is a gorgeous green with little bits of yellow and more neon green type of colors in the background, and little specks of blue and a little bit of a coppery yellow bits in between. I really love this colorway, and when I was looking at yarn for this pattern, I already designed the pattern, I drew up the pictures and everything. I was sitting and I was searching for yarn, and even when I showed this colorway to my husband, he was like, that is it, you need to start with that. So yes, that is what I started with. And then I also got this one from Naughty Habit, which is a yellow with so many beautiful colors in it. It is just gorgeous, and I do not think my video would do this justice, but I will also put up a picture on the screen of the two hanks before I caked them up. So I decided on these together for the sock, and I added some extra elements. One was added by Mincy, not me, and I don't think she did it intentionally, but with my order she sent me a mini, which was this one. And when I opened up the parcel and I saw this, I was like, oh, this is going into this design. No questions asked. So that one was added by someone else. And then I also used this brown color, which I used for my candy cane stripes socks that I knit from the Crazy Sock Lady. And then I added a undyed yarn, which is yarn that I have on a cone that I just washed and bloomed, and I actually used this in a project for a sample and I ripped it out, so my yarn is a little bit noodly, but anyway, doesn't matter. So that is the yarns that I used in this design. And if I look at this yarn, I think I can actually get another pair of socks out of this. Easily. Or I can make a pair of shorties with this yarn, because I love this yarn. This is gorgeous. Very nice. Now that I have teased you to death on these socks, maybe I should put them on the blockers and just show you. I am so excited. So they are finished, washed, blocked, instrument, everything. Right. So are you ready for this? Oh, at last. Isn't that just gorgeous? I'm so excited about these socks, and I love these colors. It came together so pretty, so pretty. All right, so this pattern is called Stripey Birdhide Socks. I decided to keep with the theme of the 5 stripes when I put the colors together, and I decided to stick with that as I did with last year's pattern. I'll put a picture up so that you can see. Last year's pattern was the stripy seaside socks, and then again in this one I did the one color foot and a nice speckly heel and some textured work on the leg. So the reason these are called the Stripey Birdhide socks is because I was envisioning when we were on holiday, we would usually go to some nature hikes or walks where you can do some bird watching, and these Birdhide little windows is what this reminds me of. So I was thinking this just looks like the small little windows which you do bird watching through in the Birdhides. So that is also why I chose a brown and a white, so that you can see the little Birdhide windows on the leg, and it makes a beautiful, beautiful textured leg. And the nice thing about this is it is designed with the technique so that you do not hold two colors at once. So this is not like normal stranded color work where you would hold two yarns and knit a few stitches in the one and then a few in the other. You knit only with one color at a time, and it is super stretchy. There is like no singeing in like you would have with normal color work. So I'm very happy with how this came out. Now, of course, you do not have to choose colors that remind you of birds and bird hides and whatever. You can knit the socks just as you like. If your favorite color is purple, like me, you can just go and do this in purple and just choose other colors that is beautiful to you. Whatever you like, you can mix and match just as you want. But this was the inspiration for this pair of socks, and I'm beyond excited with how beautiful they came out. I'm absolutely happy and super excited to start this year's make along and to release this pattern. I love it. So this pattern is also designed toe up with a gusset and heel flap, slip stitch heel flap. But I wanted to mention that just because this pattern is knit toe up does not mean that you cannot knit it cuff down. It is exactly the same. So you can just cast on at the cuff, knit the same sequence for the leg, because with these you start with this Birdhide window stripes and you end with it. So it's exactly the same. You can just start with it and end with it, go into your heel flap and then do this and add your stripes before your toe. Easy. So I love this. I love this so much. I've been dreaming about these socks since I designed them and finished the design in July. I cannot. These are just gorgeous. And a special thank you to Minzy from Naughty Habit for adding this mini into my order, because as you can see, it featured very nicely in this parcel. So thank you so much. Oh, at last, I've shown you the socks. I just want to quickly show you the beginning of round of my sock as well. Usually when you knit cuff down, your beginning of round will be on this side, but because these are knit toe up, my beginning of round is this side. So in the pattern I've written in techniques for jogless stripes, and I give a few tips and tricks in the video tutorial of what to do and how to weave in ends and knit over your ends and so forth. But I wanted to show my beginning of round so that you can see after blocking, the beginning of round does not show very big jogs. And I feel that sometimes people don't really show that when they knit socks. They prefer to hide their beginning of rounds. And I like to see a pattern on both sides, because then I can determine what it will look like when I knit it, and not just show the pretty side. So yes, super excited about these socks. Alright, so that is the sock pattern revealed. It will be releasing maybe a day or two before the 1st of October. I'm not exactly sure on that yet, but I will definitely add some posts on YouTube as well as on my other social media so that you can know the moment that the sock pattern is live. And I will definitely be doing a little special promotion for this sock pattern specifically. So I think there will be a 25% off promotion for this pattern for the month of October, so that you can grab that at a special price and join in the fun of sock making. Alright, now that I've revealed that, all the excitement is out. Not really. We can continue to my works in progress to see what I am working on at the moment. Alright, so the first project that I have on my list is the improvised tank top that I've been working on. And I have to say, I have not worked on it this past 2 weeks. I have ripped out, but I have not been working on it. So I'm just going to quickly show it, not talk too much about it because it didn't get any love. Well, actually it did, because I ripped out what I should. But then I did not start again. So I said in the previous episode that I am going to rip out the back panel because it was a little bit too narrow, and now I did do that. As you can see, the little straps is on their own and it is still where it was before, but I will give it some love in this next week before Soctober starts, because all I had on my mind was socks. So this is made with the Al Premier Natural Cotton Double Knit, which is a mercerized cotton, and it is discontinued. And I'm using the colors Mulberry and Ivory. And I'm using a 4mm needles. And that is all that I can share. I haven't done anything yet on it. I just ripped back the panel and haven't knitted on it yet. So we shall get to that in the next week. Right. Then the next project that I just quickly want to share that also did not get any love, I'm not even showing it, is the Bella blouse that I'm making in the 4-ply Al yarn, which is also a mercerized cotton like this one. It's just the 4-ply, and it is also discontinued. And I'm doing 3 round stripes on 3.5mm needles. I've put it on hold a little bit because I cast on another one. And I think I will get more wear out of this one. So I decided I'm going to do this one first, and then I'll revisit that one and decide how I like the stripes and if I'm continuing with it, or am I going to frog it. So that one is still on hold. I'm going to put it on hibernation basically for the next month or so, and then we shall see what happens with it after I finished the next project that I'm going to show you. Right, so before I show you this project, I quickly have to say that this yarn was gifted to me. My friend Leonie from Independence Yarn Crafts, who has the Pick Up Stitches podcast, went on holiday to the Netherlands. I will link her podcast episode for you down below and you can hear all about it. And she did a yarn purchase when she was there, and she brought me a cone of yarn. So she brought me this grey cone of 100% cotton yarn, and this is the yarn label. She bought it from Hobby Yarns. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but anyway, it is a 500-gram cone, 100% cotton. That is the information. So it's a 500-gram cone, 100% cotton, and this yarn is amazing. I love it. So when they came back, they came to visit us, and when she gifted me this yarn, I was like, I'm casting on a swatch today. And before she left, the swatch was knitted and it was already in the water, busy getting blocked. So this is the swatch that I knitted. Tails. So I knit a swatch with 3.5 millimeter needles, because that is the suggested needle size in the pattern. The yarn suggested needle size is a 3 millimeter, and I decided I'm just going to try the 3.5. It's not that big of a difference. We shall see how it turns out. Anyway, so after I washed and blocked the swatch, I got a stitch gauge of 22.5 stitches, I think by 38 rounds, or then rows, because this is knitted flat. I swatched flat because the Bella blouse is worked flat and in the round. So you start from the bottom up and you work in the round until you get to a few just before the armhole split. And then when you split for the armholes, for the sleeves, you work the front separate to the back. So it's got a difference of like 10 or so centimeters less that you knit flat than you knit in the round. So I decided I'm just gonna knit flat. So it'll be interesting to see, because I'm starting in the round, if my in the round gauge differs from my flat gauge, because I will be blocking this garment while knitting it. So if I'm say 15 centimeters or so in, I will put it on barber cords and block it and see how that differs from this gauge. Anyway, I'm super excited. I think I will get more wear out of a single colored garment for now. So I did not wait. I casted it on. It hasn't seen a lot of work because, guys, I was obsessed with socks. But I did start it and I did knit on it a bit. Right, so this is what I have so far. Let me just get my very long tail out of the way. Right, so I only knitted the ribbing, and a few rounds of stocking stitch. The pattern calls for this small amount of 1x1 rib, and I find it very interesting that my ribbing on 3mm needles looks so much neater than my 2.5mm 1x1 rib. I don't understand it. I do not know the science behind it, but I did not do anything fancy for this rib. I didn't do combination knitting. I did not turn my work around, and to me this looked the same on both sides. So that's the back. I don't know if it focused on the right side now. Let's try that again. And that is the right side. So I don't know. Anyway, so I have how many? 1, 2, 3. About 4 rounds of stocking stitch done so far. And I'm loving it. I'm knitting it on 3.5mm Jaigu needles. What is that? A US 4? I think it's a US 4. Yes. And I am using a small cable. Well, small. A short cable. Not small. A 35cm cable. I started with this cable because my 3mm needles was already attached, and I found that I actually like this smaller circumference for knitting on this garment, so we shall see how that goes. I cast on size 6, and I'm going to do some decreases for A-line shaping. I'm not sure if I'm going to do decreases and increases again, if I'm going to do that many decreases. After seeing how good this type of shape looks on my body with the sewing projects that I did over the past month, I am considering doing a little bit more decreases and then slightly increase again up to the bust. I'm not exactly sure how that will look, but I was thinking I might give it a try. So I made some notes, I did some measurements, and I might stick to the length in the pattern for, was it now this size? It's either size 6 or size 7's length that I'm going to try to achieve, but I will fill you in on the details as I progress with this project. I'm very excited about this. I love it that this yarn is so light and airy, and the swatch feels nice and cool. I really like the feeling of the swatch. Even when I was sitting and knitting on it, the two of us were just touching it constantly, saying, oh, this is really nice. I really like the feel of the swatch. So I really hope that I achieve this fabric. Right, I think that is it. Let me add a marker to it. What will we use? Let me use this one from my sock, because it does not need to keep progress anymore on the sock because the sock is finished. Where will I put it? So this stitch marker was also a gift from my friend Leonie, so it's an all Leonie project, this one. It's the same marker as I had on the sock. And I think it fits in with this project very nicely. I am also using these little needle stoppers that I got from Little Yarn Craft. I really like them, especially when I knit on this smaller circumference, because then my stitches don't just fall off the needles easily. I'm very excited about this project. I am trying to build up my wardrobe, the colors in my wardrobe, because I have been a little bit bad in the past buying clothes especially. So everything that I have is quite worn out and everything is just random. So I'm trying to build on certain types of colors, like purples and pinks that I already have, and blues, and then little bits of gray. And I'm trying to move away from black, especially in the summer, but more in winter time, and then little bits of browns. But I'm not really doing greens at this point, I think. So I'm sticking more to the blues and the pinks, grays and beige, and then yeah. Anyway, we are not talking about my wardrobe, actually. We are talking about knitting for my wardrobe. So let's continue. So the next project I will just quickly mention, I'm also not showing that today, is my sewing project. So because I was just working on socks, I have not hemmed my top yet, and I have not finished the armholes. So I'm hoping to this week get back into that project, because I'm very excited to be able to wear it. And I do have a few things that I need to finish up, because I really need to make more things for my wardrobe. And there I'm back at my wardrobe. Let's move on, because I am just chatting too much today. I'm just looking at these socks and I cannot. They are so pretty. I love it and I cannot wait to wear it. And I'm sitting here thinking that these might be very nice shorty socks as well. If you just knit the sock, one of these, and a little bit of ribbing. If you like a little bit of a longer shorty sock, you can just do one repeat and a little bit of a ribbing. That'll also look very cute. Leave the socks. Let's move on. So next Sunday we will be having our Scrappy Sunday Chats episode that I'm hosting with my friend Leonie from Independence Yarn Crafts. We are having a guest and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Keep your eyes open on social media. I will be advertising it very soon. So as I mentioned, I have written up this pattern, the Stripey Birdhide socks that I designed especially for this year's DB Soctober 2023 sock along. I would love if you want to join us for this make along. It is all about building relationships and having a crafty community, chatting and exchanging tips and tricks and yarn ideas and seeing what other people makes. I love doing that. So if you want to join in the fun, please send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, or even just leave it in the comments down below with your Instagram hashtag, and I will add you to the Instagram group that I'm going to make for this make along so that we can share our projects together, so that you can also post the pictures of the socks that you are making, and so that you can be updated with the times of the Google meetups that we're gonna have and to join in the fun there as well. So I would love to have you for this make along. One of the frequently asked questions that I get, one of two, is do we have to knit one of your socks to participate? No, you do not have to knit a pattern of mine. You can knit whatever you want, whatever pattern you would like. You can knit with whatever yarn you like. You can crochet, you can Tunisian crochet. I really do not have any restrictions on that. And then it does not cost anything to participate in this make along. The only rules that I have for this make along is have fun and be kind. That's it. That's all. If you would like to support me, you can always buy a pattern, or you can buy me a coffee on Ko-Fi. All of those are linked down below, but it is not necessary to buy a pattern or knit one of my patterns to be able to participate in this make along. Just come join us and have fun. That is all. That's all I want. Right. I think that is everything. I'm trying to think what happened over the past 2 weeks, and I've been so busy with sock knitting and dreaming about my next pair of socks and dreaming up all of the projects, planning things for the future here, that these past 2 weeks have just flown by. So yes, I don't really have anything much more to share with you for this episode. There might be some things coming in November, and I will keep you updated on all of the things. So I hope to see you on the next Scrappy Sunday chat, and that is it. I would love for you to share with me how you are doing and what you are working on. I always love to get more ideas of things to cast on. Not that I have time to cast on any more things at this moment, and I do have a list of things that I want to make and that I have yarn for, but suggestions is always welcome. Love hearing about your projects, so you're more than welcome to leave that in the comments down below. And then if you have made it this far in the podcast and you're a returning viewer, I want to say thank you so much for coming back. If you are new here, I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you will consider sticking around. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you would like to see any more of my content. And I will see you in the next one. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!